Hello and welcome to my workshop. I'm Jeff McDonald, and today what we're going to do is we're going to make us a segmented bowl. Now this is the pattern of bowl we're going to make. It's not quite going to be the same woods, and that's the cut sheet for it. Now what I did is I went ahead and cut all the segments, and I was like, oh crap, I was going to make a video of this, right? But I went ahead and cut all the segments. See, 3 different color woods and segments, and they're all on the floor here, ready to be turned into rings. I thought, well, crap, I should have started from the beginning to show people how I actually get to this point. So I've done it in past videos, but in case this is the first time you've been to this video, let me do that. Let me show you what I do. As you can see, this is the system I use, and it's nothing I created or come up with. You can find this on the internet. What I also use is a variety of different size of these. This is for 24 segments. This is for 36 segments, and they go on here to set up the jig, right? So what we do is we take the wood. It's been cut into strips at certain widths depending on the cut sheet. Some of them are over 2 inches wide, and some of them are down to 3/4 inches wide. And the jig's right here. So each segment is cut at a different width, because the wider you cut it, I shouldn't say width, but length, the longer you cut it, the bigger the ring, right? So the shorter, the smaller the ring. And because you think about it, if it's a 1/2 inch, it's going to be half the size of something that's 1 inch long, okay, in diameter, once you make the ring. So you really just start out by cutting the angle, which is 5 degrees, because if you think about it, in this case I have 36 segments per ring. So if you know anything about geometry, 360 degrees is a complete circle. So in this case 36, 360. So if I need 36 of these, each one's going to be 10 degrees, so that's 360, 10 times 10, right? So, am I saying that right? It'd be, 36 times 10 is 360, so that's 360 degrees. In this case, I'd have to cut each side at 5 degrees to make this a complete 10-degree piece, right? So first I cut that, and then I move it up here in this sled system and cut the next one. Go back here, don't flip it over nothing, just move it back here, cut this one. Keep going back and forth so I get the right amount of segments. Now, in this case, I cut enough segments for 2 bowls, 72 segments per each side, okay? All right, so that I'm not confusing you or anyone else. See, then all you do is you put these together, and when you get all the way around, you have your ring, right? But that width will give you based on that width of the segment, will tell you how big a ring you're going to end up with. Okay, clear as mud. Okay, since that part you didn't get to see, now what I'm going to do is set it up so you can see me make the rings, and see how that's done. All right, so to make the rings, I first have to lay out the pieces in the order that they'll be placed in the ring. in order to where they belong in the bowl, right? So I don't know if I'm explaining this well. So I have them set out here: maple, mahogany, walnut, maple, mahogany, walnut, on and on and on and on. And black walnut's actually black walnut, so it's darker than the mahogany. It don't look like it right now, but it will be when you add an oil to it. But anyway, what I do is I line them up as you see. I glue them. I usually just do one half at a time. That way the glue doesn't start to dry up at all. But the thing is about Titebond 3, the glue I use, it dries fairly slow, and actually really slow compared to other glues, and it's watertight. So, you know, the bowl can be, it's being used for salads and different things. Well, if the glue is not watertight, then over time the glue can break down. Okay, so this takes a little bit of time. Get this all done, but we'll get through it. I just wanted you to see how it's done. I'm not going to do this, show you every ring. But then once we have the rings finished, I'll run them through the drum sander, and then we'll start building the bowl on the lathe. And you'll see how that's done. What I normally do is put the bottom of the bowl on it with a waste block, which the waste block is going to have a what the heck? I have a poor memory. Anyway, it'll connect to the chuck. So. And it'll be cut away later. I have tried every way I could find on the internet how to do this, and to me, for me, this is the best way. Okay. Some guys, they'll put a piece of tape down and they'll put all the pieces on it, and then they'll fold it over after gluing it. That works for me about 50% of the time. I'm not very good at it. You know, everyone's got their thing, how they do things, and what works for them the best. This works for me the best. And you'll see that there's lines. Every other one's got like a black line. Well, that is on there to on the strips of wood before I cut them. That way I know, and let me stop talking for a minute so I don't mess up. What I do now, set this on here. I'll come back to the black line. Clamp that down, and I have this big rubber band that I just put around here. Straight up this rubber band a little bit. I about got it. Rubber band got caught on something. I have to fix it. All right, I think that does it. Sometimes if you don't do this just right, the rubber band will flip and cause the whole thing to to pop off, and I don't want that, okay? If it gets too high to the top, it can flip off there. You know, there's ways of using a metal bands. I started out using those. I find them to be kind of cumbersome and time consuming, and so this way it seems to work best for me. You know, you got to just keep trying different things to see what works best for you. All right, I go around and I kind of straighten up the connections between each segment so that it's held right. There we go, someone. Then you get it kind of straightened up. All right, looks pretty good. All right, so let's see all the lines. I put them lines on the wood strips, and I cut them on the bandsaw every segment. But then when I get over here, I go black, clear, black. You know, every other one's got a black line. Okay, so the reason is, in case the saw's not exactly 90 degrees, there's that room for error. So if you go every other one, it'll compensate for that error. That's pretty much it. I didn't come up with that. Of course, someone else came up with that. I just copy everyone else's style work, how they do it. All right, now what we're going to do is take the rings we made and we're going to run them through the drum sander. So here we go. Hi, my video, I should say my camera cut off there, so I didn't get to really tell you what I wanted to. Besides, the equipment was making so much noise, I'm not sure you could hear me. I got 14 rings to run through here, and it takes time, so I just wanted to give you the idea, and then the next step will be building the bowls on the lathe itself. So we'll come back when I'm ready to do that. You know, I started putting this bowl together, putting the rings on each other, and I thought, well, I never showed anyone on the video what I'm doing. So I quickly turned the camera back on. So this is how I put the rings together. You know, rings on top of each other on the lathe. The purpose for doing it on the lathe is everything stays balanced that way. One problem you have with this, if you try to do it off the lathe, you have to be very, very careful, because if you don't put them in line with each other, once you put them on the lathe and it starts turning and it's out of, you know, it's off, it's an oblong situation, you won't be able to put, when you're done, you end up cutting all the wood away. It just doesn't work. It isn't like a chunk of wood that's solid that you just keep working it until you're done. This, you only have so much to work with, and when it's gone, it's gone. So you want to keep the wood in line as much as you can. I forget the name of it, where you put it on the lathe and it keeps everything very balanced, but that's what I'm doing. I just wanted to show you real quick. You can't see the other piece because it's right here, but you will in a minute what I'm doing. I have a so on this end, I bring this over and we just put it all together. Okay. There we go. And it clamps it, smashes it up real nice. And I'll leave that for about 20 minutes or so, and then I'll take it apart and put the other ring. I got 2 more rings to put on. Alright, I figured I'd pull this off the stand and just kind of show you what I'm doing. See it? And then all I do is clamp those 2 together. Okay. Now line these up a certain way, because the first half is one direction, and the second half this direction. Sorry about the camera. I'm holding it in my hand while I'm doing this. Probably not the best idea. Alright, then we just tighten it up. There we go. Alright. Next step, of course, is to turn this bowl when it's all done. Alright, I wanted to kind of show you how I get started on building the actual bowl. Okay, I start with a waste block. This happens to be made out of maple, and in this case, this one has been used before, so I just got to get it cleaned up and ready to receive the piece of the bottom, the resin bottom. It's going to go on the bottom. See what we got here. Oh yeah, it's really good. Okay. Alright, so to begin with, to stick this resin to this waste block, I got to use 2-part epoxy. So what you do is you just put this down on here. So I made an outline of how big this is on there. And I'm guesstimating, but you know, you kind of eyeball it and see. Now I put the resin down first, and it's thicker usually. One of them's thicker than the other. I think maybe it's the hardener. I just gotta have to watch it for a minute. Let's see if I have to add more resin. I may have to. Yeah, a little more resin. Not a perfect science, but it works. Unlike regular epoxy, this doesn't have to be a perfect mix. It just has to be very close. You just mix it up. And I do it on this because this is actually the thing it's going to stick to. I'm not going to put it on like a piece of, you know, a lot of times I use a paper plate or something, and I put it on there and transfer it over. But since I'm using this mix right on between these two, that's what I do. So it looks pretty good. Now keeping in mind, this is only to hold it on there while I you know, turn the bowl. So meanwhile, another thing I do is I take the hot glue gun and I go around it later to give it a little more strength. So put that on there just like that, easy peasy. Now that's going to take a while to set up and dry. Then I'll show you what I do next. Alright, so now you can see I have the ring here. I have the resin piece here, which is the bottom of the bowl. I do this kind of look and see. It looks like I got mostly most of it covered, but I like to make a mark around here. Kind of tells me where the outside is on that. Okay. So I got to make sure that my resin. Now, when I attach this to here, I'm going to use a 2-part resin, just like I used it on this piece of wood. Because with resin like this, you have to use resin to attach the wood. All right, so let me get that set up real quick here. It's real easy. Once again, I'm going to do a 2-part mix. Attach it to the ring. Here in Florida, it has been chilly lately, which if you're up north, it's really chilly right now. So my resin's running really slow, not like normal. But it is heating back up today. I think we're up close to 70 today. I mean, for us, it's kind of cold when in the morning it's 45 degrees. That's really cold for us here. And this morning was like 50, so I think the warm's coming back. So we just have to be patient for the warm weather. Move this out of the way for now. Not sure if I'll need it anymore. We'll see. Yeah, I do need it more. What am I thinking? It's not enough hardener. If your mix is way off, it won't harden. It won't stick and harden. It'll just be kind of gooey. You want to make sure it's a good mix. All right. What I like about this resin, it doesn't set up real quick, so I'm not have to rush to get it all put together. I mean, I can't be real lazy about it, but yeah, I'm gonna need more. I'm always need more because I don't like wasting it. I made this little block. I don't know, it's just kind of commercial here. I made this little block to put my resin in. That way I get it always to the tip of the bottle, so that now it's time to swap out, put another piece of wood on, and just keep gluing. Of course, now we're just going to use regular Titebond 3 glue. The only trick at this point, or not, I shouldn't say trick, but the only thing you got to really watch out for is make sure the wood's going the right direction. You don't want to like swap it this way when this is white brown here and this is white brown here, you know what I'm saying? So you want maple and walnut, maple walnut. Okay, now all I gotta do is line those up. I'm just gonna move these out. Well, my GoPro shut off and it said I ran out of battery. Well, it's not true. I didn't run out of battery. I got 95%. So something's going on with this. I don't know if it's the batteries, the camera. See, the camera shows plenty of battery. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with that. All right, after all the time of building this thing and getting it to this point, now it's finally time to turn it. And this is, of course, one of my most favorite things to do. I like all of it, the whole process. Started with pouring the resin, making, you know, because you got to make it a certain way. Actually, I poured this one 3 times to get it this way. This is for a client who wanted this particular style of base. And then, of course, cutting all the strips and then making all the segments and then putting all the rings together and sanding them down. And we're finally at this point where we can turn the bowl, and the funnest part. So, all right, here we go. This is going to take a while, maybe 30 minutes or so, I guess. You know, I came back to this side because the more I looked at it, the more I didn't like how the wood and the resin connected. So I made a change to it. I usually do this stuff. So I got to go back and work this area some more. My apparatus isn't working. Hang on a second. There we go. Had to hit it a little harder. Actually, I ought to turn this so you can see what I mean. See this hood? I got this on the back, and this is a blower that blows, this spout blows fresh air, so I don't have to breathe the air from the resin, or dust for that matter, anything like that. So anyway, I thought I'd share that tidbit with you. All right, just keep at it. Alrighty, I got it all sanded, and now what I'm going to do is put this compound called Axe Abrasive Sanding Paste. I'm going to sand it with this. It's particularly for the resin, it really needs this. But I'm going to do it all over, and then we'll use a wax over top of that. It works really well. But like anything, you just got to be patient with it. I'm left-handed. Sometimes I wish lathes were left-handed. I know I could turn it around, but I got a little shop, so that doesn't work either. All right. Now my client wanted a dark emerald green. I think I got it for him. I poured 3 different pieces to get it, which is fine because I'll use the other 2 on other bowls, but I just want to make sure he got what he needed and what he wanted. All right. I used to use, instead of the mahogany color, I used to use Indian rosewood, but you know what? I'm liking the mahogany better. So I'm going to stick to mahogany for now on. I just really do think it's a lot better look. What I do is I put this all on, and then we'll turn the lathe on at around 500. We'll use it as a sanding compound for a while, and as it breaks down, it goes from like a 500 grit to a, you know, and on the way up to close to 1,000 grit as it breaks down, and it really leaves a nice finish. And that's why I like to do it on particular bowls. I don't typically use it on a live edge bowl because, for one, if I have bark on it, it's kind of hard to do. Kind of close to the bark, it can mess it up. So I keep it for like these kind of bowls where I'm doing segmented bowls. Now I'm going to put it on the back. You can't see that, but you kind of know what's going on anyway. Once we get this all done and polished, which is still going to take a little bit of time, we'll turn it around. We'll remove the waste block and finish the bottom up and put in my medallion. I have a medallion I put in the bottom of all my bowls. It's 1.25 inches in diameter. I like using it. For one, my penmanship's terrible, so if I were to sign my name, it's terrible. And I just like it, like the look of it. So this is coming out really nice. All right, so let's get started. Just a little bit more on there. This just takes time. Alright, I got it all polished, I got it all sanded, all polished, and now the only thing left to do is the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright folks, I got a surprise for you. The bowl's done, but you know what? It's not only just done, it came out nice. Look at this bowl. Look at this bowl. Look at how that green, emerald green shines. This, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I can see it. And then the bottom, you get it turned the right way. That's the bottom. Got that nice lip on here. I like the design. I really like this bowl. And I used to make it with rosewood instead of the mahogany, but I really like this mahogany in here. So I'll probably continue making it with mahogany. But anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching my video, this video, and all my videos. And if you're new, thank you for coming and watching, and please subscribe so you can get, know when their new videos come out. I do them, I'm trying to do them weekly. It's hard to tell, sometimes 2 times a week, but yeah, but I appreciate you watching, and with that said, God bless and have a good day.